You. Hey, Nancy. I was thinking the meeting was at 3:30, but it's at 3:45, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a few minutes early. I thought it was late. Okay. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks. Yeah. How was your well, you're retired now. I was gonna say, how was your winter break? But you're retired, so yeah. How's your new year going? I can ask you that.
Yes, my new year is going well.
It's good.
Yes, my son suffers from migraines and he tried a new medication recommended by his neurologist and it's helping. So I'm just like, yay.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's good when it works out that way.
Yes, no, it's been 7 years with this battle he's had. So, and he's doing well at Napa Valley College. So I'm so thrilled.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's wonderful. Good. Good news.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Dave.
How are you?
Pretty good. Just running after a long day in 5th grade teaching.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it can be pretty exhausting.
Yeah, those little rascals keep you busy.
What grade do you teach?
5th grade at NVLA.
Oh, okay, 5th grade. All right. Yeah. That's kind of a fun age.
Yeah, it's more work, but it's a lot of satisfaction because it's such a big turning point in the kids' lives. You want to
Yeah,
think back, that's the place to be.
that's nice. That's nice.
And you're at the Napa Valley College, right?
Correct.
Yeah. That you run the ethnic studies division, is that what it is?
No, I run the Office of Diversity, Equity, and
Oh.
Inclusion.
Exactly who we want in our meetings. Hi, Nicollette.
Welcome,
Hi, everyone.
Nicollette.
Thank you, Nancy, for inviting me.
Oh my gosh, thank you for being here. It's so wonderful. We've had the pleasure of having Dr. Moonsamy speak, and so it's nice to extend the invite out to Napa Valley College and get to know more people. So thank you for being here and bringing the beach to us.
So I'm on the equity page. Is there anything I should know about the minutes today, Nance?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We will be doing updates at the end and speakers first. We have Nicollette and Jeannette thought she could come at 4. She had another meeting. And so I think it's a regular rhythm meeting.
Okay, I also have an update on the adoption of the 5th grade health ed curriculum.
Okay, wonderful. And I saw, Patricia, that you are speaking at Teach Truth, right? In the November meeting.
So not speaking so much as leading a conversation on a book.
Okay.
So the Teach Truth, Hannah set up this book club, Teach Truth book club. So the book that we're gonna discuss that I recommended is a book called The Black Jacobins by C.L.R. James. It's a really important text on the Haitian Revolution. And, so that's the book, yeah. So I'm gonna be leading the discussion of that.
Yes, well, thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. The first meeting was really good.
Yeah, I
Dale-
totally
Dale
missed
Allender.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the next one is coming up.
Yes, on Monday, I'm going.
Okay, right. Have you been reading the 1619 project?
I've been listening to it.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Good, nice. Yeah, so that should be a good conversation.
Yay! We have Jeannette or Miss J here. My neighbor Lex Milliken. She's like, oh my gosh, you've got to meet Miss J. And thank you so much for showing up. And I'm glad you got out of your 4 o'clock meeting a little early.
And then I was trying to change my name. Remember, I saw the notes where you wanted the name of your our actual name. So here I am. Hi, Dr. Moonsamy. Hello, David.
How are you?
Good. Let me show my face. I guess I could. I comb my hair and everything. All right. Hey. Oh, there it is. Okay.
There you are.
Yay.
Your hair looks fine. Your hair looks like you combed it already before the meeting.
Oh, no. All right. Hey,
Yeah.
Nikki.
And another purple lover. We have a teacher, well, she's at Unidos now, Ann Dearborn, who loves purple. And my bathroom is all purple. And I love purple too. So we'll wait on a couple more people, I think. People are running a little bit late today, but if not, we will get started. Hey, welcome, Jessica.
Hey.
Hello.
And welcome, Leslie.
Okay.
Hello.
Yay, it's nice to see everybody. Okay, well, we will get started. And I'm Nancy Nord Carnegie, a retired teacher from NVUSD from kindergarten. Now get to be with my 19-year-old son who goes to Napa Valley College and has suffered from some depression and migraines. And he just started a new medication that are helping his migraines. So I am very, very grateful. I'm grateful that he gets to take ethnic studies this year. It's already started with Jeannette Stickman, I think. And so I'm like, Janet. Okay, so that is very exciting. And Jessica Rennie is in 4th grade and she is our note taker. And Dave Allred is my co-lead and tech person. So grateful to have them. So if you have the agenda open, and Dave, if you'd put that in chat, that would be great. Where you can type in your name that you are present here today. I was hoping we were going to have Tawan Usuri from Pacific Union College here today. He accepted yes, but maybe he got busy. So write your name that you are present at the top. And if you don't have access to the agenda, go ahead and shout out and we can write it in. So Jessica, when we were planning the agenda yesterday, Evan Bercellini had the idea of in the chat, if you would write a book based on diversity, equity, and inclusion that you recommend, if you could write that in the chat, and an intention that you might have for this meeting. So I'm going to find where the chat button is here. Oh, so Jeannette, will Michael be in your class too? Because do you co-teach with another teacher? No.
I teach what is called like first year experience. And so that's at a 4-year, that's what it would be called. It's basically just acclimating a student into the college setting, how to navigate the system. And I think all students should have that when they first start off at the college, at any college rather. And so that's what I was saying. Well, maybe he can take my
Okay,
class.
yeah.
He hasn't started yet. It starts next week.
Okay. Yeah, he is in the DSPS program, so he's taken,
Matter.
oh, it doesn't matter. Anyone can take it. Okay, well, that's good to know. I didn't know about that class. Good deal. No, thank you for sharing. So go ahead and write a book that you are reading or that you recommend if you have one, and then what your intention might be today. And I always love, my intention usually is the connection. I just love connecting to people who are working in diversity, equity, inclusivity, belonging. And like Jason from DSPS said, including accessibility also is so, so important. So go ahead and put in chat a book. Okay, and Dave, would you go ahead and review, or actually, why don't we have everybody review if they want to say it out loud, or if you just want to keep it in chat too, you want to share who you are, your pronouns, and your book, and your intention. Since we are a small group, we have time to share.
Yeah, so I'm Dave Allred. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm a 5th grade teacher at Napa Valley Language Academy. The book that I put in the chat is called The Racial Healing Handbook, and I took a class where this was a central book in UC San Diego recently on this, and it's fascinating. It's a workbook essentially to process your experience of race. It's pretty wide open to whatever race you are, with a lot of background information. I highly recommend it. It's a fascinating book. Annalise Singh, great author.
Thank you so much, Dave.
I'm Jessica Rennie. I teach 4th grade at Canyon Oaks Elementary out in American Canyon. And I recommended a children's book, but it's not, children's book are books for everybody. And it's called The Cardboard Kingdom. And it's incredibly inclusive. It's about some neighborhood kids and appreciating everybody's differences and including all. I didn't put the name. It's a graphic novel, and it's written by Chad Sell. And I just said my intention today is I'm ready to learn. I feel like every time I come to this meeting, I leave just feeling incredibly inspired by everybody that contributes. So I'm ready to be inspired.
Thank you, Jessica.
I'll go next. I'm Jeannette McClendon. I am from Napa Valley College, counseling faculty, teach college success, career life planning classes. My pronouns, or better yet, I'll just say my pronouns. I was going to tell you what my nouns are, but my pronouns are she and her. And the book that I chose was Circle of Wellness. I'm a part of a learning community called Umoja, which is means unity. And a lot of times we're out helping everyone else, but we're not helping ourselves. And so practitioners are always taught to seek from within. And so this book was given to me at my winter retreat that I had with my colleagues in Umoja. And I just find it to be so helpful because it's talking about how is the healer in you, as well as, because our family, we have a lot of trauma in our own families as well. And so as I work with the students on campus, I'm also thinking about how it impacts me when I'm dealing with them. And so that's where I'm at. And it's nice to be here again to see you all. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Jeanette.
So I'll go. I'm Patricia Vanley-Wardeman-Sammy. I'm the Director for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Napa Valley. So Jeanette and Nikki are my colleagues. Happy to see you all here at this meeting today. Happy 2024 to everybody. I hope that this is going to be a year that brings peace and healing from the ongoing trauma that has ramped up in the last few months, and that we're probably going to really have to fight against in the next coming months of this year. So the book that I put in the chat is a book called White Fragility. It's written by Robin DiAngelo. She is a DEI consultant and scholar, and this is a book that's written by a white woman specifically for white audiences. And it's a really powerful book because it really makes visible what a lot of us people of color know and experience every day. And that is the way that racism and other forms of oppression are so structurally embedded, and that the dominant group in society tends not to notice because it's so taken for granted. So she really makes it visible. She talks about the ways in which race operates, and the title White Fragility is specifically talking about how white people really kind of preclude conversations about race by engaging in particular types of behaviors and strategies that then perpetuate white supremacy within our society. So I've used that text in my DEI learning opportunities with folks at the college and elsewhere, and it's something that's really transformative for people who don't think and don't experience this in a conscious way.
Thank you, Patricia. I've read that book, and yeah, it was eye-opening. Yeah. Just realizing what privilege I have, and yeah, and trying to dismantle that. That's one of the reasons I started this group, so I could learn more and also to connect people. And yeah, it's important.
My name is Leslie Liu, and I use she, her pronouns. And I work in ag and open space, so I'm in the outdoor space a lot. So the book I dropped in, I just really couldn't think of anything, was the ADA Outdoor Accessibility Guidelines, which is a really cool fundamental document that addresses accessibility for things that people don't necessarily think are accessibility. They don't necessarily believe that they can make accessible, for example, backcountry trails or, beach access, picnic shelters, campgrounds, and that sort of thing. I've used it a lot, and it dictates how federal agencies do that outdoor facilities, but state and local agencies don't have to use that. So I'm always saying, it's the best management practice. It's the best guidance out there, and everyone's compelled to use the best guidance out there for accessibility. So that's why I dropped that in. And I'm on Sonoma County's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion team, and we're writing our racial equity action plan right now. And then for the department that I work in, we're also writing a racial equity action plan, and I work for Ag and Open Space. So I just am submerged in diversity, equity, inclusion. I'm also chair of Planned Parenthood Northern California's Action Fund, and I'm on the C3 board. So we're deeply enmeshed in diversity, equity, inclusion. And I think it's really cool to see to be a part of all these different stages of DEI implementation. So, you know, Planned Parenthood has a pretty good record. I think their diversity hiring at, you know, front-facing staff is 80%, the board's 80% diversity.
Wow.
Some of the clinicians are at 60%. So, you know, there's still some work to be done, and they have regular sessions. So that's really cool to see. Definitely we're not there at the county or at my workplace, but we're launching an educational module for the entire county. And, you know, so we had like little small group discussions at the soft launch. And I was with in a group with a bunch of people of color having a small discussion. And like, we'd heard, like, I think the question was, how often do you talk about race and how comfortable are you? And we were all like, oh, we talk about it all the time since I was a little kid. And then one of our white colleagues said, oh, we don't really ever talk about race. Like, really? We talk about it so much. So that was really eye-opening to me. It's just not, and it makes sense, you know, it's just not an issue if you've got that level of privilege.
Oh, thank you so much, Leslie, that's what I love about this group. You just put out the webs and learn more about what's happening in other spaces, other areas. And so thank you for sharing.
And I forgot to mention, I'm just really excited to, you know, just connect with people in my own hometown. So thanks, Nancy.
Yes. Thank you for being here. I'm grateful I met you at the Mary Ellen Pleasant plaque commemoration that Hannah Henry organized. Yes, because I mean, one of my goals is to know more people of color, because I have lived in Napa most of my life, except when I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Guatemala. And then I was the one who was a different color or different ethnicity. And so it's heartwarming to know all of you and to be able to collaborate with you. So thank you. I'm getting tears in my eyes just, you know, talking about other people don't talk about race, and it's true. I am right there. It wasn't until, you know, one of the Napa Valley Unified School District steering committee meetings where Lori A. Watson, a Black American LGBTQ identifying person, you know, talked about how often do you talk about race, or, you know, how important is it? And I did say, you know, 100%. It's important or a part of me. So I've gotten that far, but yeah, that white fragility was the opening. It's like, oh my gosh, you know, how did this happen? And how did I not notice for so many years? I'm 57, but you can still learn and still be touched and try to reach others, and especially in our schools where many of us are.
That's one of the things I enjoy about being a fifth grade teacher is my students think it's racist to talk about race. Like, even bringing it up is insulting to people. Like, we should all pretend like we don't have different race and ethnicity, and I can deconstruct where that argument came from, and then make it okay for them to talk about it. And it's a powerful place to be.
Yeah, thank you, Dave,
So
for
cool.
sharing.
I can go next, sorry. Nicollette, she, her, Shah. Let's see. Ethnic studies professor, taught ethnic studies in K through 12 to community college for over 20 years now.
Oh,
Coordinator of Cultural Center at Napa Valley College, and also the coordinator of the Kasasayan Filipino Learning Community. Let's see, 1 of 4 in the state of California. So we're pretty lucky to have a Filipino learning community at Napa Valley College. The book that I put is actually a fictional book. My students have read it in a bunch of my classes, and this author actually came 3 times in the past 2 years, I want to say, to Napa Valley College and to visit with students and the community at American Canyon. So we really work a lot in American Canyon because that is the highest population of Filipinos in Napa County, or any people of color. And then, you know, we do have classes at American Canyon High School, our South Campus, usually our ethnic studies classes and some of our counseling classes, to really make sure that, you know, accessibility to get to college and to classes is really something that we really focus on, especially for students that are in high school or students who live in Solano County to come and take our classes, not too far from them, right? So yeah, so the book is called Groovy Girl. It's a really good book. It's a very, it goes into the lens of an 8 or 9-year-old girl who's Filipino. She talks about everything in there. So it's a really good read. There are some things that are very traumatic to read in there. I think I laughed, I cried. And so being able to have Maritza Roño, who is the author, she went by a different name for Groovy Girl 1, but she has Groovy Girl 2 in her own name. Was really awesome to read and to have her visit us so many times and give her time to us and to our students. But yeah, just coming in here with an open mind and open heart, like I ask my students all the time, especially in ethnic studies classes. We do get students that, you know, have never talked about race like you all have talked about. First time learning anything outside of what the media shows them. So I ask them to come with an open mind and open heart.
oh, thank you so much, Nicollette. Michelle, would you like to share at all? And it's fine not to share at all. Oh, I shared the book 4 Pivots. It's what the district is reading. And yeah, I'm appreciating, you know, just how we have to get to a place where we can feel comfortable and safe with one another to talk about important issues. Okay.
And Nancy, I think Michelle dropped something in the chat.
Oh, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Michelle Kendrick, she, hers. I'm the Title IX and Access Service Director at Pacific Union College. Yay! Another Pacific Union College rep. Thank you so much for being here. The book I would recommend is White Fragility. My intention is to just listen in. This is my first meeting with you, and I'm hoping to give some helpful input. From these meetings to our DEI Council at Pacific Union College. Well, thank you so much. We are glad to have you listening in and being part of our group. I'd like to have a land acknowledgement. We would like to begin today by acknowledging that we are gathered on the ancestral and unceded land of the Patwin, Wapo, Miwok, and Pomo peoples, past and present. May we honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded it throughout the generations. And at last meeting we had Tech here speaking, and that was wonderful. And my husband just went to a new native plant garden in Half Moon Bay and bought her, I believe, hawthorn. So I have to let her know. And also, I would like to take a moment of silence to honor oppressed people in our history: Black, Native American, AAPI, women, LGBTQ+, disabled, and places of war. So if we could just take a deep breath and honor all of those people. Thank you so much. I'll just quickly go over the norms. I added one that Leslie contributed: to be respectful, to lean into learning. It's okay to be raggedy. Don't worry if your thoughts aren't perfectly formed. Speak what is on your mind. Speak from a position of I and not we or them. Ask yourself, why am I talking and why am I not talking? To consider who is here and not here and why. And that we can't go faster than the speed of trust. So yeah, having all of teaching ethnic studies, I think requiring them in our schools helps people, especially white people, know that other people have a different experience. And so until we have education and learning and a common knowledge, it's harder to develop that trust and that belonging. Okay, I wanted to do some appreciations, just again for Napa Valley Unified School District for having the DEI steering committee and having that focus. And it sounds like Leslie Liu talked about all of the training they do, and that Napa Valley College has a DEI coordinator. Wouldn't it be wonderful if every place had a DEI coordinator and put such emphasis and money into that area? I went to LGBTQ Connections holiday party and I felt so included. I mean, I just knew like one other person there, but DJ Rotten Robbie was so inclusive of the LGBTQ community. And I just felt a lot of love and acceptance there from, you know, the kids all the way to the adults and the diversity. And yeah, and it was super fun. And also the Napa Valley Educators Association. Jessica Rennie is part of that team, and they are in their beginning phases of working on equity at the union level. So thank them. And then Jessica put in their mission statement there. Anybody else have any other appreciations?
We all appreciate you, Nancy, for bringing us all together.
Yay! I'm happy to do it because I am an extrovert and I'm in a place now helping take care of and manage caretakers for my 84-year-old mother. And so I love touch points with people, and I get like a little bit nervous before each meeting, but then once I'm here and afterwards, I'm just like, oh my gosh, that just warmed my heart. And so with that, I would like to, yeah, I don't care who goes first, Nicollette or Jeannette or Nikki, Ethnic Studies and Cultural Center Coordinator of Kasasayan Coordinator. And it's Pilipinx American students. It was a new word for me because I thought it would have been Filipinx. And so I had to, you know, look it up and see the background a little bit of the word. And so that was super interesting. And then we have Jeannette McClendon, counselor, Umoja, Learning African American Community Coordinator, and the winner of the McPherson Distinguished Teaching Award. So I am so grateful to have both of you here. This is an honor. Do you have a preference? Who goes first? Okay, thank you.
I'll go first, but I first put something in the chat because I wanted to go back to the comment you made about being raggedy. And so I wanted to know what your definition of raggedy is. Because it might be something different in my culture, you know, in terms of what we think raggedy is. And so if you could just define that, and then I'll go on from there. I just wanted to know, Nancy.
So even in my kindergarten class, people are not raising their hand or speaking up unless they think they have to be perfect. They're afraid of putting out there what they're thinking. And so part of the being raggedy is having the courage to ask a question, to answer something, to not have to have everything perfect.
Thank you. And so that's why I wanted to know, because for me, it means something different.
Okay, that's
raggedy for me means acting up or acting kind of outside of the norm, or how, you know, code switching and being, you know, how you are in your community, what have you. And so that's why I wanted to know what that actually meant. So thank you for that. And again, it has different meanings. And so for me, raggedy is like, you know, don't act up, and don't act like you know, like they want you to act. And so anyway, thank you for that. And I'll start off, Nikki. Umoja is that's why an African term for the word unity, and it's been around since 2007 at the California community colleges. There's a total of 71 of them now throughout the state of California. We've just been awarded this large sum of money to do a lot of different things. And so I'm excited about that. The purpose of the program, it's a learning community. We have 4 on our campus, and we're one of the 4. And basically, in collaboration with all the other learning communities, we focus on working with the students' mind, body, and spirit. So we have an intentional and deliberate focus. Not every student in our program is African American, and they don't have to be. But they have to buy into the philosophy. I mean, we have music, we have live learning, we have intentional and deliberate things. We say what we mean what we say. We're really advocates for our students. We become family, and they call us auntie, probably because we're older, you know, auntie, uncles, or whatever. We have a mentoring program that Dr. Munsami is a part of. We just really put everything into our students. You know, we'll go to their house if they're not there. We'll call them up on the phone. We're very intentional. And I think that's important because maybe they're not getting all that at home, and maybe they are, but we want to continue to have that philosophy in the classroom. There's not many of us that look like them in the classes, on campus rather. And so it's important for us to be able to let them know that the support is there. We do different activities with them. We're getting ready to go on the HBCU college tour, which is the historically Black colleges and universities. We're taking the students on a tour, a week-long tour. We really just try to be in there. We have 18 practices, let me say that. And within our practices, one of them is in your business. So we're all in their business. And again, in a sense that, you know, we're going to go to your house, we're going to meet your family, we're going to have events where we know the whole part of you. If we can tell when something's going on with our students, we can tell when they're not engaging. And so we'll even stop a class and just have everybody else leave, and we'll just focus on that one student, because we're really, really intentional. As part of being the counselor for the program as well, I do a lot of intrusive counseling. And so I'm just trying to make sure that the whole being is fine. The whole being is doing well. You may be doing well in the classroom, but when you go home, stuff may be happening. And so that's just kind of where we are. And like I said, we've been on the campus. It's been around since 2007. We've been on the campus that long, really. I've been there since 2013, so I haven't been there as long, but I really enjoy what I do, the impact that I have on the students, lifelong learning, you know, we're always forever. We tell them once we touch you, we're not going to ever let go like a tick, you know, unless you just snap us off or whatever, kill us. But we're just always going to be in their lives because we really, really do care about our students. Even after they transfer on, they come back and speak in our classes, they come back and talk. And we just really, if you get a chance, go to the Umoja community website, it's umojacommunity.org, and you'll see all that we do. We have annual conferences, we have student stuff for us too, for practitioners. We have a wellness winter retreat. We have a lot of different things that go on because we know that, you know, it takes a lot. Our job is 24/7. It's not 9 to 5. It doesn't stop when the bell rings or when class is over. It just goes on and on. I talk to students all the time, even on the weekends and stuff, even though it's draining and it's time consuming. I know that they need that support because they may not get it anywhere else. And so, again, I work alongside with Nicollette, and the other two learning communities, just to make sure that we don't become like a silo. We don't want to be just this independent program. We want everybody to know that everybody can be a part of it. And that's why we do different activities to encourage participation from a lot of different groups. And so that's just who we are. And I just really think that this program is so important. And thank you. I think that's all I got to say. And I teach the classes. Let me just say that too. I teach 2 classes related to the program, and there's a Dr. Tia Madison teaches 2 classes related to the program. So we connect our classes. We try to connect our classes to the students as well, so they can work in groups, cohorts, so they can get to know each other and know that there's community on campus. And yeah, that's kind of where we are. And again, I do the counseling for the program also, and I coordinate the program as well, and I teach the classes. So I wear like 3 hats right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeanette. Are you like Nicollette reaching out to like American Canyon High School or other schools with African-American students?
Yeah, we actually go into the high schools. We go to Jesse Bethel, American Canyon, and some other. Our outreach is not as it's not as good as it should be, put it that way, because it's kind of, and here's the issue with our program is that a lot of our students come from outside our service area, and the community colleges have service areas. So in order to go into another area, which is Solano County, which includes Vallejo, American Canyon, Fairfield, all the way down to Vacaville, we have to ask permission. We have to have permission because that's Solano Community College's service area. So we've been able to get access in and talk to the students. But a lot of our students come in by choice because they, you know, to be honest with you, a lot of them don't want to let their friends know that they're at a community college. So they don't go to Solano, which is their service area, community college. They end up just coming to us. And so our recruiting is not as good as it should be. But yeah, I used to teach over at American Canyon also, a couple of classes, but you know, and then I taught at Napa High School as well. So, you know, just trying to expand as much as we can. But again, our students aren't really from Napa County, you know, to be honest.
Thank you. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you, because on the especially high school campuses, there's been the use of the N-word. And what do you say to someone if you hear that word on your campus? Or is there any kind of education taking place, like white fragility for so other colors can learn?
I'll let Dr. Moonsamy cover that part, but but in terms of our classroom, well, you know, there's this, it's a crazy notion, but it's like the word is used in different contexts because sometimes they use it to me like, oh, my brother, my sister, you know, nigga and negro or nigger, I mean, those are all different words that come into play. I've actually never heard them say it in any of my classes. So I've never experienced, and I have a lot of the athletes in my classes. I have the men's basketball team and baseball team and all those, and I've never heard them engage that way, but I'm sure it goes on outside of the classroom. Dr. Moonsamy, maybe you can cover that.
So what I would say is that we're developing at Napa Valley College. Actually, it existed before. It kind of fell into, it fell by the wayside for a while, and we're reviving that. And that is the bias incident task force. So it's a group of people. We're developing protocols, et cetera, for students who experience episodes of bias or hate crimes. And we're developing protocols for how we're going to deal with that. And part of that, though, includes education. And Napa Valley College is, by the fall, we're going to have housing, you know, so we're going to have on-campus housing. And on a lot of campuses, the housing area is where you have a lot of these incidents of, you know, racism and, you know, intolerance and hate crimes and sexual assault, et cetera. So we're, as an institution, we're preparing ourselves, you know, for that possibility and putting systems in place so that we can address it. You know, I think that individual professors need to think about how they're going to address that in their classrooms. I'm working with groups of faculty at a time through a structure that I developed called the DEI Colloquia. And we're reading important texts, and it's a place where we can explore these issues, think about the embedded structural nature of oppression and colonization, the legacy of colonization and racism and discrimination, and but also what can we do to transform the way that we operate in the world, and what can we do in our classrooms to create more equitable frameworks for learning. So that's an area where we're addressing those kinds of challenges, and, you know, preparing ourselves to be more equitable and inclusive in the spaces where we are, you know, we have ownership. So, you know, the classes and in our workspaces, et cetera. So, but I think, you know, I think Jeannette was right in talking about, you know, this is a term that is used in multiple ways by multiple communities. And so the context in which that is spoken is really important. So we can't, you know, like a blanket question, you know, you need to understand the nuance of it. And so the response to that has to be nuanced also. It has to be contextualized, and we have to understand the nature of the relationship among the people that are in conversation when that happens.
And I was going to say just to that, just to piggyback on what Dr. Munsemi said, even with that word itself, you hear other cultures saying it amongst themselves as well. I mean, like it's a common term to just mean brother, sister, or whatever. I mean, I guess that's how they use it, because they don't seem to take offense to it. And then, but when we see, and again, it seems like it becomes more of a big deal per se if it's someone who's saying it to someone who is Black or whatever, then it becomes another issue. But amongst peers, they seem to be okay with it. And like I said, I've never heard it, but when I do hear it, I'm like, oh, you know, I would probably be like, oh, we just finished the faculty cultural responsive CR training. So we're trying to learn how to be more responsive in the classrooms. But again, this class had maybe 8 people, and I was one of them. It's like, so, I mean, it needs to be probably more and more. You can't get a lot of faculty, and I'm just going to be transparent, to buy into these kind of things unless you pay them. Got to pay them first of all, because it's their time as well. But it also means they got to do some deep digging. They got to go inside and kind of figure out what's really in there. Oh, I didn't know that. I got a lot of Black friends. I didn't know I was like that. You know, that's the kind of the stuff that I hear, you know, so thanks for asking that, Nancy.
Yeah, no, thank you for your response, because yeah, because now I'm glad I have, different answers. You definitely have to see what the context is. Because in the Napa Valley Unified School District Steering Committee with Lori A. Watson, I mean, you can't even say the word and talk about different variations. And so to understand, the context or how people are using it, whether they're using it in a friendlier way or whether they're using it as a put down. Yeah, just like we would any word, right?
What
So
I would say is that, this is a term that is laden with really problematic and violent histories of oppression, and that I'd say the good practice is do not use the term, and even within the Black community, there is debate, but if you're not Black, definitely don't use the term, and within the Black community, there's different opinions, on this, different feelings about it. So I would just say, all of us, no matter what, we should be trying to avoid terminology that can cause harm to people, right? Of any background. So that's, but the conversation about this is way too deep to complete that conversation in this space.
yes,
So that's why, that would be my default to say,
yes.
don't use it, steer clear of it.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Nancy. Go
I
ahead.
was going to say, Nicollette, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, so in our ethnic studies class, even if that word is in text, we do black it out because we do not show it at all. They know what it is. And then we don't condone that in our classes at all, in any form. I've never had students, use that in front of me, or even, I don't think I've even heard it on campus, walking through campus at all. And yeah, and they do know the history of it. So that's some of the things that we do go and see. They do hear it in like films and videos that are that we show. But it also has that context of violence and also hate. And so they understand that and they get to see that, that word is not something that they should use at all. So in ethnic studies, we definitely emphasize that. And then if we do ever hear something like that, whether it's that word or it is saying like, oh, that's so gay or something like that, we do check that right away and say, please do not say that. That's not something that that you should be saying, because that's not a term that we use in this space. And we always, we have to let them know like there's connotations to that, but they shouldn't use that, because I've had to do that a few years ago and this past semester. So, and I think, with ethnic studies, like Jeannette and, Patricia was saying, it's like we really do talk about the historical concepts, but in our department and in a lot of my classes, we bring it up to what's happening today. And so, we want to show them like history does repeat itself. So how do we break free from that cycle of history? And so it's really up to them, right? So they take that knowledge. Like I said, we've had people that come in with like such a closed mind and heart, and they come out of it like, oh, I see my privilege now, or they understand like the stuff that they didn't know that they've had, right? And so I think having ethnic studies classes and speaking of, making sure that oppressed people's voices are heard is a big thing. I know Napa Valley Unified School District is doing an ethnic studies class, but to pinpoint on that they need to be open to having all oppressed people. And if that includes Palestinian people, they need to really understand that. I had a conversation with Napa Valley Unified School District in regards to us coming as ethnic studies, the department, there's just we're not meeting, because they did not want to have Palestinian voices. And that was a big thing. It's like, if you're going to talk about oppressed people, you have to talk about all oppressed people. So that was a big nuance with the school district when it comes to our department as ethnic studies coming onto their campuses and teaching an ethnic studies class, whether it was at New Tech or whatnot. And with some of our colleagues that, you know, have taught at certain campuses, that they were not willing to budge on having them teach there. And to your point, Nancy, about like speaking on they, us, we, in ethnic studies and also in like folks of color, people of color in our communities, we talk as a we, as a unit, right? And so even though I'll be like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, we always bring our community into it. So I will always talk about we, they, us, because it is a part of our culture.
Oh, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. For Kasasayan, you know, like I said, we're one of 4 Filipino learning communities in the state of California. We're fairly brand new to the learning community circuit. We are really trying to get that into a state level, similar to Umoja and Puente on our campuses, all over California community colleges, right? And so some of the other Filipino learning community college learning communities at the different colleges, they focus on, similar to Puente, counseling in like a speech class or a communications class. For ours at Kasasayan, we focus on ethnic studies, and that is the core and root of our work in our learning community. So Kasasayan in Tagalog means history. So there's a saying, no history, no self. No history, no self, right? And so it's really focusing on knowing who you are, knowing the history that you have and your people have, you know, come from, especially here in the United States, is really different for people who just immigrated here, right? Like when before I took an ethnic studies class, I thought, oh, Filipinos came here in 1965, didn't know until I got into San Francisco State and took, you know, another ethnic studies class that we've been here since 1587, right? And so I think that's something that a lot of Filipino students don't ever realize, how deep our history here is in the United States and how we've been here before colonizers came, before the Declaration of Independence was even signed or even thought of, that our people have had communities here, specifically in Louisiana in 1763, few years before the Declaration of Independence was ever signed, or even maybe thought of, right? And so I think that's something that Filipino students don't ever get to hear. And then within our ethnic studies classes, students being able to see themselves in history books, to learn more about their own history is so rewarding to them. Like I had one of Miss J's students that, you know, he had all this history and he was able to share it. And I was like, oh my God, it's so amazing, right? And he's never been able to share that in any of his other classes besides an ethnic studies class, maybe in counseling and in Umoja classes, but definitely for that student to, you know, share themselves with their peers, it was amazing. Like a complete turnaround from the person that student was when they started the class. So it was great to see that. And I think that's one of the things that ethnic studies really does bring to Napa Valley College. Like I said, we have to go out, like Miss J was saying, we have to go out of our cities in Napa, right? And Napa County in general. Yes, American Canyon does have a lot of Filipino students and other communities of color there, but you do have to go out to Vallejo and Fairfield to get other students. And Ms. J was saying, like, a lot of, I think half of my students in all of my classes have been part of Solano County, all the way up to Dixon, right? And so I've had students from all over the place taking our ethnic studies classes, especially if it is online. And that's one of the things that we do offer is online courses. Even if you do an online course, it is a very rigorous course. In my class, I do weekly lectures. Even if it is online, I will record a lecture for them like live, and they can come in and, you know, ask me questions during that class if they are free to come in. And other times I do teach in person as well on campus and at American Canyon High School. But yeah, we do a lot of collaboration with the other learning communities. We are the cheerleaders for each other, right? Like if one of us can't make it to a tabling event, we're always there to be like, hey, have you learned about these other learning communities on campus? These are the 4 that we have on campus. We'll you know, have events together and support one another in our different events and show up for one another. And like Miss J was saying, like, we don't want to be like silos, you know, to one another, because we're working with the same students, right? And especially in ethnic studies, we do see the same students. And I always ask them, like, hey, are you interested in joining a learning community? Here's the learning communities that you can be a part of. So you get to know one another, because we've been so, you know, in COVID world for so long that students oftentimes don't have a space to meet other students and to be in community with others. I think that the learning communities, that's what it brings, to give them that space, to give them that time to reconnect with others, which they haven't done in the past 2 or 3 years, right? But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. So important. Anyone have a question? I have a question, but. So I'm so glad you brought up all oppressed people, because we're in a climate where it seems like if you feel compassion for the Palestinians, and what I see is ethnic cleansing after years and years and years of oppression, but it seems like, well, professors are fired, right, for having an opinion. So it's kind of scary. I mean, when I put out on Facebook early on ceasefire, I mean, like, only one other person is like, you know, I agree, Nancy. I could tell that I was in the minority. And so that, but I mean, I was willing to put it out there, what I believed. And luckily my son is a history, he loves history. And so I learned so much from him. Yeah, so it's a tough one with this political climate. So I am grateful that it must be Napa Valley College is able to, or I don't know if the college has, you know, taken a stance, or just ethnic studies, individual people to say we're looking at all oppressed people. But yeah, just that the college, Napa Valley College, has this ethnic studies requirement. And I guess all of California, do you know about other states, if they're doing this also?
I'm not sure. I know California has our ethnic studies requirement to graduate from a CSU, and then hopefully a UC soon. Our ethnic studies department hasn't taken we've always taught, right, like on oppressed people. So this is not new to us. You know, it just so happened that there's the war going on right now with Gaza and Israel. But it, you know, we do want to say that, like, Israel does not mean you like all Jewish people, right? Like, and people always assume like, oh, you're, you know, anti-Semitic if you're against Israel. It's not about that, right? And like you said, Nancy, like you talked about the ethnic cleansing and all that stuff. And so, you know, you do have like Jewish folks that are speaking and asking for a ceasefire immediately. So we need to understand that being like, let's say, you know, ending like having a ceasefire is not anti-Semitic, like, period.
Yeah, and I would add that, you know, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee just recently created a definition for equity for the college, and it's something that people have been asking for years, so we've just finished that. But we talk about all kinds of, you know, discrimination, all kinds of, you know, but basically when we're talking about equity, when we're talking about inclusion, we're talking about it for all people. And that aligns with the California community colleges also. I was recently looking at their diversity, equity, and inclusion statement. And so, but that said, you know, that this historical moment now, you know, is very you know, the politics around Gaza and Israel, things are very repressive. And so, like Nancy, you said you put this post on Facebook and only one person responded, and you think that you're the only person that feels that way. I would say that might not be the case, but because of the politics and the way in which people are going after anybody who expresses opinions that are humanitarian, that are compassionate, that are for civil rights, that are anti-genocide, you know, that they're being labeled, as you said, as anti-Semitic. And so, you know, the stakes are really high. You know, we've got college presidents that are being fired from the most elite colleges in the country. You know, we've got faculty that are being hounded. We've got lawsuits that are being filed against school districts, including there are some California community college districts that, you know, lawsuits have been filed against them that are anti-DEI lawsuits, et cetera. So these are really, it almost feels like the McCarthy era in a way, you know, in terms of the level of oppression and repression, I should say, repression. So I just wanted to say that, you know, particularly that even though people may not verbalize it because they're concerned about the repercussions of doing that, doesn't mean that they don't feel the way that you feel.
Yeah. No, thank you. I just want to thank all of you for sharing and being here. And I do feel like my heart is filled, and I do have a community of people who care, and so important. All of the, you know, the teachers out there, the community members, the leaders who are, you know, it's just not words, it's through actions, and that's what people copy, are excellent actions. And so I appreciate it. And Jessica or Dave, as my eyes are like a little teary-eyed, will you go over the announcements?
You bet. Okay, so we're down here, right, Nance? 1 minute
Yes.
share. Okay, so Teach Truth Book Club, February 5th from 6 to 7:30 at the Book Mine. Looking at the 1619 Project with Dale Allender. Dr. Moonsamy discusses the Black Jacobins with Teach Truth, also at Napa Book Mine, March 4th. Did you want to say something about that, Dr. Moonsamy?
Well, I talked about it briefly in the beginning. So this is a landmark text. It was written by a Trinidadian writer and intellectual who was a very famous Pan-Africanist. He wrote a history of the Haitian Revolution, and this is the first time that history was written from the, you know, giving like humanity to the enslaved people and showing the ways in which that revolution aligned with other revolutions that were happening around the world. So the American Revolution, the French Revolution, ways in which the enslaved people in Haiti were knowledgeable about, and, you know, their conversations were informed by and were probably also informing other conversations that were happening, you know, on a global scale, you know, conversations about liberty and freedom and equality, et cetera. And so this book, it's grounded in a lot of research that CLR James did in archives in France and, you know, other colonial locations. But it was first written as a play, and then it became a book. And so it reads like a novel, but it's very historically researched and accurate, and really shows the brutality of slavery, but also the strategic ingenuity of the people who were fighting for their liberation. Also, one other announcement is at Napa Valley College for Black History Month. On February 22nd, we're going to have a professor from CSU Monterey Bay, Dr. Umi Vaughn, who is a scholar, but also an artist, and he's going to be doing a presentation on drumming cultures in the African diaspora and religious repression of African-centered drumming practices. So it's going to be a lecture, but also a performance. He's bringing drummers with him. He himself is a drummer and a dancer. And so I'll send, once I have all the details worked out, I'll send it to the Equity and Inclusivity Council so you can send it out to the membership. And we welcome everybody. I think it's going to be a great event. So put it on your calendars, February 22nd from 5:30 to 7.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's great. Okay, Jessica Rennie, it looks like she has left. She's teaching MLK and Black History Month, and so am I. Napa Black History Celebration, February 3rd, 2 to 5 at Crosswalk Community Church. Dance Mission Theater, presenting the intersection of dance and social justice. And I put in there that I and 5 other 5th grade teachers have been working on narrowing down a new health ed curriculum that is equitable for all people, not just straight cisgender people. And we got it. We nailed it down, and it's the best of all of them. It's the most rigorous. It's the deepest. It includes everybody. And I think a lot of kids are going to feel a lot better about who they are when they learn this curriculum versus the 1985 curriculum we've been forced to teach for the last 10 years, 40 years for some people. Anyway, so we're going to present it to the board on February 8th. Assuming they approve it, we will immediately start piloting it in our classes, see how it goes. Going to be a challenge because it's because of its rigor, it's going to take much more time. And one thing 5th grade teachers do not have is more time. So I don't know where that's going to come from. But when push came to shove, we just couldn't push through another curriculum that didn't represent everybody. So hopefully teachers will teach it. It doesn't become like the rainbow kits, which many teachers aren't. By the way, Matt Manning, director of elementary instruction at NVUSD, has said that he's going to make it mandatory for 5th grade teachers to teach us, because we've been pushing him. I've been pushing him to make sure that it just doesn't gather dust, that they have to teach it. It's going to be on the pacing calendar. So hopefully this is impactful. And if there's nothing else, is there anything else that anybody would like to announce before I discuss the future meeting dates?
I have one announcement. The Cultural Center is working with the Napa County Library, and I forgot what other group we're working with, but we're working really hard to get a poet laureate to come out during February. We have to figure out if they accept our proposal, how much we can pay the poet laureate. But we're excited to work together with Napa County Library, and looking forward to working closer with them with the Cultural Center. I'll keep you all updated.
Yes, if you would send me information, I like to get it out. And then I wanted to ask you, I think I'm possibly recording the meeting. Would it be okay to share this with the Equity and Inclusivity Council people if they missed it? Or would you prefer I not? Whatever is most comfortable for the group.
Who's on the council?
So on the council are people who have expressed interest in DEI. And so it started with a group of Napa Valley Language Academy teachers, and then it includes LGBTQ connection. It includes also within the whole Napa Valley Unified School District, it includes teachers who have expressed interest, people like Leslie Liu, who was here today. Also Pacific Union College, Napa Valley College,
Board of Education.
the Board of Education. Often they come to the meetings. And so it's a group of 94 people that this is the 4th year I've been doing this, of people who have expressed interest and come to the meetings on and off and follow us. So that's who it is.
It's fine by me.
Does that
Everybody's okay.
feel comfortable, Nicollette? Or I'm happy not to share it too if anyone is at all uncomfortable.
Patricia, what do you think?
I think it's fine. One of the things that I have found really nice with sharing information with the Equity and Inclusivity Council is that it broadcasts our programming far and wide. And actually, last year we did a series on the lifeways and culture of the Onotsatis people, and a lot of the people that showed up were because they got the announcements through this council. So yeah, I think it's good. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for checking in. Yet for me, it feels like a comfortable group. And I've asked people, would you like to be taken off the list? Because I don't have some fancy unsubscribe button. And I never get anyone who says, please unsubscribe me. And so I know that even though that everybody doesn't show up, that their heart is in the right place. Just like Robin Jankovitz from the NVUSD Board of Trustees, or the school board. She's like, Nancy, I'm not, I think she's been to 1 or 2 of the meetings. I have a lot of meetings that didn't come up, but thank you so much. Know that I support what you're doing and am grateful for it. And so I get encouraging things like that. It's like, okay, I wish there were lots and lots of people, but maybe I like the intimate groups of 8 or 10 where we can really develop that trust and get to know one another also. And so future meeting dates, March 14th is Beth Painter from Napa City Council going over what Napa is working on in the way of DEI. And then talking about having last meeting, people said they really want something in person. So looking at having a potluck over here at my house, 1016 Broadmoor Drive. If you have time to stop by, for our normal meeting time or afterwards, I would love to meet you in person and welcome you to my home. If you'd like to receive small rainbow flags, sign up, and there are safe space posters that you can put in your classrooms.
Excuse me, Nancy, on the 16th, what time is that? Because Umoja has their rites of passage event that night, which I was going to invite you all to from 6 to 8. So what time is your event?
Our normal time, 3:45 to 4:45.
Okay, then come on over after and come to Napa for our rites of passage. That's where we recognize our senior, the ones that are graduating. We have a performance and we just kind of have a good time.
Oh, I would love to come. And would it be okay if I came to an Umoja meeting or a Kasasayan meeting to meet people? Would that be okay or not?
Sure.
Yeah. We host events. This year, my Asian American Studies class, which is in Kasasayan, is actually going to do an Asian Pacific Islander cultural night. We're probably going to host it somewhere in American Canyon. And we'll keep in touch with that. They should be done by May. I am hoping, but we don't start class till next week. They're going to go through a rigorous thing, but
No,
they
I would
are science students, so they know what they need to do.
love to be included on those events, and when I can make it, just to increase my knowledge and meet more friends.
Yeah, we'll send invites to any of our events that are coming up. Like I said, a lot of our stuff is in American Canyon. We did host some things at Napa Valley College, but like I said, we're within the community, so it's going to be in American Canyon.
That totally makes sense. Thank you. And again, thank you for speaking and being here.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Yay.